I am mining investor and editor of Resource Stock Digest. We're going to go with Gerardo Del Real this week here with my partner, Mr. Nick Hodge, who's also an investor and the publisher of Daily Profit Cycle, amongst the many other hats that the gentleman sports. This is the 296th episode of our weekly therapy session that we call Investing in Bizarro World. We're going to talk markets. We're going to talk crypto. We're going to talk commodities. We're going to talk United Healthcare CEOs, and we're seeing the type of stuff, folks, that happens during fourth turnings. We are knee deep in one right now. So we'll get into all of that here in a second. But first and foremost, Mr. Hodge, by the time our beautiful public and audience sees this, you would have celebrated a birthday. So let me wish you a happy early birthday. And for those just watching this, happy belated birthday, Mr. Hodge.
41, is that how you say 41 in Spanish?
41, you got it, sir.
Look at me with my horrible dialect. 41. Thanks, I appreciate it. For another year. Here we go.
Hey, every year above ground is a chance to have a banner year, right? We were just talking about that off air a bit. As you know, I am really, really excited about 2025. There's a lot in the cooker. 2024, however, unbeknownst to many execs out there, there's still a lot of fucking month left, everybody. So, and excuse my language, it seems like a lot of people are already in Christmas, holiday, Hanukkah, New Year mode. And I'm sorry, around here, we look at the calendar. When I see December the 5th, you better believe we're still cooking. And so there's a lot of stuff that's working in the market. We're going to talk about that, but I want to start with the overall indices and your general thoughts. I mean, I know you look at the betting markets all the time, and the betting markets got Mr. Trump's election victory very correct, by the way. They didn't call it as being close. They said it was going to be a landslide, and nobody could believe what the betting odds were saying. Now we're at the point where I look at the betting odds and I look at X before I look at, anything else, CNBC or the legacy media or the mainstream media or whatever the heck you want to call it, because I just don't believe those people, right? And I haven't for quite some time. I really don't believe them now. What are the betting odds saying as far as Jerome in the next rate cut? Because I know that there's been some contradictions between some of the Fed governors, with some advocating for a pause and others advocating for a continuation. And that continuation comes, of course, as a result of having $36 trillion in debt and having to service that.
I think I'm looking right now. Chance of that can't be right. I think this is old data. So the CME at least is pricing it. It's been going back and forth. Right now it says 70% chance of a cut from 4.5 to 4.25. So a quarter point cut. It's all over the place. I was watching Lawrence Lepard's presentation from New Orleans because they sent out the videos from the conference the other week, and they're just sort of bouncing off the guardrails, right? They took rates all the way up when they said that inflation was transitory, and now they got a plan for getting the inflation down. And he showed the dragon from Game of Thrones just scorched earth over the entire global economy, right? So I haven't honestly, like you said about the media, I sort of have felt the same way about the Fed in the past couple of weeks. Haven't been paying as close of attention to them because, frankly, again, back to that that Lawrence Lepard talk, is like, why do we give these people so much fucking credence anyway? Like, we should just point at them and laugh. And that's what I'm starting to do lately anymore. Like, don't tell me I got to pay attention to the fucking Fed. Fuck you. I'll pay attention to what I want to pay attention to and do it my own way. So anyway, so the Fed is likely going to, he ran his mouth this week. He said they could be more cautious. I think you're still going to get a quarter point cut. And, oh, by the way, the more important point is that inflation is going back up now. Which we said weeks and months ago, right? So that's, I think, what I want to talk about is, the people who see through that bullshit, right? The sort of market translators and the market interpreters and the tea leaf readers. And that's you and I, and it's sort of playing out the way we've said it was going to play out. And I feel like a broken record, but that's because we've been right and nothing has changed. The Fed continues to be wrong, and the inflation continues to rematerialize here. So all that said, it's going to be more of the same, and I think until you get this Trump inauguration next month, right? I think that's what most people are focused on, the holiday, and then they're going to focus on the inauguration. And so I don't know if I gave you a real answer there, but the Fed will meet on December 18th, I think it is, and we'll get on with our lives. But it's not going to change the fact that Growth is 2 to 3%. The things that aren't changing, right? That inflation is 2 to 3%, and that everything else is awesome, right? I mean, what's it matter? Fed cuts, Fed doesn't cut. Bitcoin goes to 100,000. Stock market hits a record. Dollar goes up, right? So does it even matter?
Let's get into what a wonky week it is, right? It was one of those Twilight Zone weeks.
No doubt.
Bitcoin crossed the 100,000 mark. Great. Fantastic. Simultaneously, the Hawk Tuah girl, Haley Welch, issued a meme coin that crashed 90% within the first 3 hours of trading. People are now calling for her to be locked up.
Sounds like some people spit on that deal.
I was just going to say, it sounds like you took my thunder, Nick. We think alike, books. I'm sorry, but of all the people that should have known how that was likely to go, it should have been the speculative public. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't really feel for you if you put your capital and your faith in Haley Welch. And I'm not saying she's not intelligent. I'm not saying she's not personable. What I am saying is I know she's no crypto expert. And, we pride ourselves both personally and through Digest Publishing, which offers a variety of services in providing independent research, right? Whether it's on, crypto, let's go crypto, for example. We have a real in-house expert, like a real human being that's an expert on this, that has free courses, essentially a university on crypto, how to set it up, how to store it, how to keep it safe, how to safeguard, all the things, right? What to buy, what to sell, why you're buying it, why you're selling it, when to hold it. He does this for a living. He does it very, very well. So well that about a year ago, we gave him $50,000 of our own money and said, hey, we're no crypto experts. We do what we do. Here you go, Chris Curl's crypto service, right? And so we give him 50,000. I think that's up to like over 160 grand now, if I'm not mistaken. And he thinks the mania phase is still to come. He thinks we're just getting cooking. So when I say that we have about 25 or 26 days left in the month, there's a reason why, and this isn't to brag, some of it is luck, but there's a reason why Nick and I and our team are still reaping gains from the market. Because we're still up every morning. We're still hitting it hard. We're still looking to see where we can get an advantage and an edge and trying to share that with you all. Last week, and for the last month, I've been pounding the table on Kingsman Resources. I told you when we were doing a financing at 25 cents that our subscribers had access to it. I told you I was writing a pretty substantial check in that. I told you our team was taking the entire financing down, our group, multiple groups, but all of us on the same side in management and directors. I told you that 25-cent deal with the 40-cent warrant was going to be extremely valuable sometime soon. Today, the stock hit a high of 59 cents. We're up some 150% on that deal. That deal just closed like 3 weeks ago. I barely got my shares. My 40-cent warrant's already in the money. Now, I'm not saying that's a brag. I told you last week that if that I would give you the freebie and just go buy Kingsman Resources. All you had to do is do a little research, figure out that it had an $8 million market cap, that it has this fast-producing silver district, all the thing I said last week. And then you just, if you had speculative capital, you go and you buy in any amounts, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. You would have been up 34% on that money in 1 week. If you'd have listened to us on the 25-cent level, you'd be up over 150%. That thing's just getting, yeah.
You didn't even have to spit on any dick.
Didn't even have to spit on that thing or put your faith in someone who's known for being very personable, having a mean head technique, and having a white boyfriend named Pookie, which threw me for a loop when she introduced him and rolled him out. Again, she's very intelligent because it's all been interesting and funny, and she's monetized it well. She's got a podcast. Like she's done a brilliant job of monetizing it for herself. And what we're trying to preach is how you can put yourself in a position where you're monetizing these little edges in the market that, sometimes we're fortunate enough to latch onto and make them work for you. And that's really the spirit of this podcast. And I hate to be too preachy, but that's why we do this. I mean, we don't write the newsletters because that's, the it thing, or we want the attention, or because, that's what makes the bulk of our revenue. We do well with it. It's a profitable business. But believe you me, where Nick and I, get the money for the toys and to build rivers and to build the ponds and go do all the things that we do, it comes from the hard work that goes into the research that we try to provide all of you. And so I say that to say there's a lot of month left. Let's get it. I don't know why people, it kind of irks me a little bit, are checked out and completely in holiday mode. But while you all do that, I'm gonna keep doing. I was positioning friends all week, on Kingsman and another company that's near and dear to my heart, that I have a substantial holding in, and a couple of other ones, because I think Kingsman could be a $5 stock in 3 months if they hit easily. A $5 stock with 20 something million shares out just puts it at $100 million market cap. It's not Looney Tune talk. Like, there's valuations and metrics that we can point to where we go, okay, if the 2 kilometer strike has the silver at the grade that it did historically, and we can prove it below the water table, we'll know right away because that's where we're drilling the holes. Then it's easy to give that company $100 or $200 million market cap, given the size of the district and given the fact that they just announced a brand new silver gold target today. That's a whole another mile away. That also has the potential for hundreds of millions of silver ounces. So again, we caught on to that really early. We offered it to our subscribers. I recommended it, I think, when it was 16 cents to one of the services on Junior Resource Speculator. Chris Curl's doing the same thing with his crypto service, folks. I had a friend reach out to me asking me if I'm into Bitcoin. And I'm like, I would have been into Bitcoin had I caught it at like $80 or $100 or $1,000 or even $10,000. By the time I, started looking at it, it was, at 30 and 40,000. And this will sound, a little flippant and a little arrogant, but a double or a triple doesn't excite me anymore. I don't ever write a check hoping I double or triple my money, right? And so when I looked at it, I said, okay, Chris, what's the potential? I won't tell you his target because you can go subscribe to a service. But when he told me the target, I said, well, that's a reasonable return. It's just outside of my comfort zone. And when I lose money, I want to know why I lost money, right? What mistake I made, what I didn't catch. If it's just something that we could have caught, Mother Nature didn't leave behind what we thought she was going to leave behind. It could be a million things, but I like to know where my mistake happened. And so that's the only reason I personally don't dabble in the crypto space. But I tell you what, I sure am glad that we have experts on our team that do. And I'm glad that we were able to hand that $50,000 to him. And, he says he's just starting to cook. So I encourage all of you that are interested in crypto, we'll put the link up. Go. We offered a free service to y'all a couple of weeks ago. It's Christmas time, folks. Hanukkah time. It's New Year time. Like, we're not doing that anymore. That ship sailed, right? So any thoughts on that, Nick?
I have a lot of thoughts. Last week I was telling you about the TikTok guy and the guacamole, and it's the same thing with the Haktua girl. I mean, just a different week, a different character, a different asset class, but the same sort of thing, right? They're grifting, but they're not real players. And so you need to be paying attention to who the real players are. It has something to do with just everything being frothy, right? Again, was talking about this in New Orleans. There's an everything bubble. I mean, stock markets at record highs, at Bitcoin, you just talked about it, record highs, et cetera, and on down the line. And so it's frothy. People are throwing darts at the wall, and to some extent that's working. So I get to crypto in a second, but these meme coins, like, except for the Haktua one, I guess, have been going up. Solana's been going up. ETH has been going up. But I wanted to start with where you started, and that was with the Twilight Zone and hard work. So yeah, it's the beginning of December, man. Christmas isn't until the 25th, and that's a Wednesday. The market will be open the Monday before that. So there's lots of work to do still, and it has been a Twilight Zone week. You touched on just a couple of things. I'm sure we'll get more into the healthcare executive who was killed, but there was also martial law declared in South Korea, which is no slouch of an economy, right? One of the larger economies in the world. And then, whoopsie, it's not martial law, and we're going to impeach our president. Like, what the fuck is going on? Macron might be out in France, also a big economy. The only
no confidence vote there, yeah.
The only other country besides the U.S. that has a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, which I always talk about. Just Macron out the door, who's been with us for a while. So it's wonky times out there. And then to the Bitcoin, which you were talking about, we're thoroughly in the Trump presidency now. I haven't heard Miss Harris or Mr. Biden mentioned in a while, except for his pardon, which is also a bizarro world. And the Democrats are up his ass about that. That's a whole thing that we should probably talk about, right? I mean, shit's going down out there.
It was a week, man.
That was this week. That was Sunday.
That was this week. You could have had that on your bingo card for an entire year, and you would have been like, Jordan, you're crazy. Come on, man. No, he's not. Yes, he is. If I'd have told you in the beginning of the year that everything that happened this week was going to happen in a year, you'd have thought I was nuts. And people already think I'm nuts, but I'd have been right.
People think I'm nuts too. Sometimes I think I'm nuts. And then a day later I look at it and I'm like, no, y'all's all the crazy motherfuckers. It ain't me.
What's the M&M bar? Am I the only one that's fucking normal anymore?
Good Lord. So it's all about Trump is what I was saying. He's making the appointees, and that's driving the news cycle, and it's also driving the asset prices because the Bitcoin 100,000 was on the back of his nominating Paul Atkins as the SEC chair. Right? We've had Gary Gensler for a while, who's been, I mean, let's just say it, point and laugh again. I'm in point and laugh mode now, Gerardo. I'm not in politically
Just kidding. I'm in.
correct mode. Like, Gary
in.
Gensler's been anti-crypto. You don't have to tiptoe around it. Like, he didn't want that shit to come in, and it sort of it eventually did when BlackRock and those big folks said, look, we're going to get our ETFs, right? But he drug his feet, and he was certainly not pro-crypto. This Paul Atkins guy is seemingly pro-crypto. Not that I'm an expert, but certainly with 6 hours after it was announced that he was going to be the SEC chair, Bitcoin went from 95,000 to 104,000. I mean, it wasn't to go to 100. It went to 104. And that's a big move is another thing I should say. Like, that's a fucking entire year's stock market move in like 3 hours, right? So, and that's the other thing that people are getting lazy about, right? And back to that bubble talk, right? You could buy Bitcoin and it goes up 7% in 5 hours. Why would you own the S&P, right? I mean, I don't know, just things that I've been thinking about lately. But Chris has been crushing it. And the thing I wanted to say is that he's got a new project that he's talking about, which I wanted to mention here. And that has to do with one of the big, Magnificent Seven companies getting into this space. So let me slow down and take a breath. People always say that crypto has no real world application. I was looking at the Twitter last night after it hit 100,000, and I followed this Capitol reporter. He's been a legislative reporter for years and years and years, right? Gets all the interviews with the senators and things, and he had tweeted out that, like everyone was tweeting out, Bitcoin hit 100 grand, and his comment was, it still has no utility and is only used for speculation, but nonetheless, it hit 100 grand. And it's like, that used to be cute and funny, but that's not really the case anymore, right? Like, we have entire countries that are accepting it as legal tender now. We have entire countries that are denominating bonds in Bitcoin. I mean, that's not, just speculation. That's denomination and legal tender, right? So to say that's not used for anything is crazy. And then I think it's going to be continued to adopt it more. So not only does it already have use cases, but it needs a champion, right? So let me use nuclear as an example. For years and years and years, we knew that what nuclear was going to be, right? We knew that it was needed. We knew that it was the only source of clean power that was worth a damn. And that eventually all the governments and the clean tech folks were going to have to capitulate and say, you know what, we're going to have to use nuclear. Well, even though that was true, it didn't matter in the market until the tech companies came out and said, we need nuclear, right? Not until Amazon and Meta and all these companies said, we need nuclear. Then those stocks started going up. And now look at, these SMR stocks, NewScale and Oklo, et cetera. I mean, these stocks are off the charts. And it's going to be the same thing with crypto, right? It's going to get blessed by certain groups and certain entities, and that's going to be the thing that gives it the push to the next level, right? So, gosh, I've seen credible calls for $1 million Bitcoin, and I've seen calls for $9 to $10 million Bitcoin, and like you said, that can sound crazy, pie in the sky stuff, but all you got to do is apply some simple metrics to it. Like, look at the world's total investable assets of debt and point and say, if just this percent goes into it, then the number goes to this. But anyway,
it's math.
That's right. Back to the blessing of the tech companies. These folks are starting to get involved. Jack Dorsey's been involved in a long time. He's the Twitter founder. He now runs Square.
Might know something, you would think.
Right. Exactly.
Oh,
and now these other large companies are starting to get involved. I'm not going to tell you which ones because we're going to launch some advertising in the near future about this. But one of the biggest, most well-known tech companies in the world is making a crypto play to go after the credit card companies. So let me talk about the credit card companies for a while. I might get long in the tooth, so just tell me to wrap it up.
No, you're
be
good. It's just you said tech company, and I thought Apple, and then I thought about the guy that bought a banana for $6.5 million, took it off the lawn, and fucking ate it. That happened this week. I mean, we didn't even talk about that yet. It was just in bonkers of a week. But I want to get back to your point, and then we'll get back to my ranting and my raving because I have quite a bit of it to do.
That's frothy stuff, right? It's good interjection because you know how that guy got his money to be able to afford the $6 million banana, right?
Yeah.
He's a crypto investor.
Yeah.
This stuff is bubbling up, right? You can buy $6 million bananas and shove them down your pie hole. Whether or not you spit on it first is up to you. Um, so, uh,
And if
this
you
tech
do it with
company,
a smile, folks, just, some advice.
this tech company is going after the credit card companies. So, the credit cards are high fee. I mean, you own a business, Jordo. We co-own one
Sure.
together. You got to deal with credit card processing and fees and things like that. And certainly, that if you go to some gas stations, they'll give you a discount if you
Sure.
pay cash. And some places will have a minimum that you to use if you want to use a credit card because they got to pay a fee. Well, not only do they got to pay a fee, but the processing is slow. So, you swipe your credit card and the transaction goes through in, less than 12 seconds right now. But it doesn't get settled for 3 days. I'm sure you have a credit card and, you can
Sure.
log into your account when you buy something and it'll say pending. It'll say pending until that transaction settles, which in some cases is 2 to 3 days later. And that's all done on these credit card networks, the networks they built specifically. VisaNet is the main one out there. And so, these tech guys are looking at this and saying, hey, wait a minute, like if cash is on the way out and then we're going to be using digital stuff, like why aren't we just processing these credit card transactions on the blockchain and settling them instantaneously? Why do we have to wait 3 fucking days for a transaction to settle? We could do it in less than a second, right? And that's what they're trying to do. So they're taking a crypto project and they're going after these credit card processing fees and transaction times. And, just like Bitcoin has been going after fiat, and the reason for that, it's good now going after these credit card things. I think that's pretty easy for people to understand. And Chris believes that the project, which I should also add that he made 1,000% on in the past, this project. And now Google is getting involved. And he believes it's going to go on another run now that it's got the backing of, one of the biggest tech companies in the world. So that's the setup. We'll have information out on it in the next couple of weeks, a new video. And I guess that's pretty much it. I saw you had simple solutions on the document that I'm sure relates to the fourth turning, but using the blockchain to solve what is a problem for everybody, credit card processing, transaction fees, and delays, seems like a pretty goddamn simple solution, Gerardo.
Well, and for those of you, again, I'm a geek about numbers, right? For those of you that are wondering what the market looks like, credit card debt just hit a record high. It stands at $1.17 trillion. That's just credit card debt, right? We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about the budget and how the $36 trillion debt and how like the elephant in the room to me was the Defense Department, among others, right? And a friend rightfully pointed out, that there's many other places where we could trim the fat. And I agree 100%, right? Absolutely agree. However, I have to point out the Department of Defense, like, can't pass a fucking audit. We're on audit number 8, right? They've failed 7 audits. It's not the only department. And so my point, and maybe I didn't articulate it well a couple of weeks ago, isn't that we should just pick on the Department of Defense. It's that all of the departments are bloated. It's that all of the entitlements are going to need to be cut back. It's that the promises that were made by the previous generation are not going to be kept because mathematically they cannot be kept. And we are going to have to sacrifice somewhere, folks. I don't want to disparage the death of the United Healthcare CEO that was killed in the middle of Manhattan at 6:45 in the fucking morning. But it isn't, I'm not disparaging it or justifying the killing. But it is a fourth turning, folks. And people are fed up. And whoever this person ends up being that killed him, for whatever the reason is, some things are a fact independent of that death. United Healthcare does have the highest rate in the country of all the insurance companies denying claims. On the same day this happens, 2 other insurance companies have, and I'm going to curse now because this upset me, have the fucking nerve to tell American citizens that pay hard-earned money for their insurance. These aren't the criminals and all the people that you guys like to scapegoat. These are hardworking Americans that pay for their insurance policy. You're going to tell us that after a certain amount of time in surgery, I am no longer entitled to the insurance company covering my anesthesia. Yeah. I don't know how fucking out of touch you insurance companies are, you politicians are, you people behind the wall are, but things like what happened in Manhattan happen during fourth turnings because people start having nothing to lose. I don't know if that gentleman had anyone that was close to him that he lost. I don't know that this executive wasn't prepared to testify about some of the practices that, the insurance industry uses. I don't know anything about the case other than that guy had a pretty cool hand and was a pretty calm character. There's a person in the front and a person in the back, kind of looked at them and said, no, my beef ain't with you two. Got what I came for. Out of here. Had the nerve to go to Starbucks right before that. Stayed at a hostel the night before, allegedly, in a city that's got the most advanced recording equipment. And he clearly knew that and did not care. Whatever his cause was, and I'm not justifying his cause was worthy enough for him to throw it all away. And during fourth turnings, what happens more and more frequently are people are willing to throw it all away because they feel they have nothing to retain or to keep them whole anyway. And again, I always go back to my cliche line about be kinder to each other. Let's find more common things in common than the things that separate us. Don't let the media and these politicians, these people distract you. They're all having drinks behind the scenes. We should do more of that. Let's be better citizens. Let's be better to our communities. Let's be better neighbors. I don't know how my neighbors voted. I don't care how they voted. There was a lady here that had a medical emergency about a month or so ago. She was slumped over on her wheel in her truck, and the neighbor alerted me. He ran over there, asked me to call 911. We had, the paramedics. We were able to get her out of there, thankfully. And luckily, it wasn't serious. She took some medication. She just got off back surgery. She shouldn't have been driving. She attempted to drive and she just passed out at the wheel in the driveway. Unfortunately, that's all that happened, but we were able to get her back. I didn't stop to ask my neighbor who he voted for. I don't give a fuck. Super nice guy. It was great. I didn't ask the lady who she voted for to see if I should help her. Like, I don't care. I didn't like her. Hey, lady, do you like Mexicans? Do you like Italians? Like, what'd you have for dinner? How do you have sex? Like, do you like your missionary? Do you arc to and spit on that thing? I don't care, right? You just be a good fucking neighbor. We should just focus on that more, folks. And again, I'm not justifying what happened in Manhattan. I don't know what happened. I just know some guy went up and was upset enough to throw it all away and killed the CEO of one of the biggest insurance companies in the country. And I know that on that day, 2 insurance companies thought it was a good idea to leak it to the media that they no longer were going to pay for the anesthesia after a certain amount of time. Fucking unreal. It was a week, man. It was a week.
No, that's it. Yeah, we got plenty more to talk about, and I know you got another appointment.
No.
Yeah,
I actually just set that appointment back about half an hour, so we're good to go. Let's cook.
I would never condone it, of course, but can certainly understand it. I mean, did you see what was written on the bullet casings? Deny, defend, depose. I mean, this guy planned it out, right? I mean, he knew what he was doing. He was looking to kickstart, I think, a movement or get everybody talking, and he definitely did, right? So
you know where that comes from, right? The reference?
Oh, it comes from a book.
Right. And the book is about...
I haven't read the book, but I assume it's about insurance coverage and how they deny care, yeah.
Right. You deny it, then you defend the denial.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Then you depose the fuck out of people that are paying hard-earned money for their insurance because you could probably, fight them out of court by making them broke because you have attorneys that your shareholders, also Americans, pay for. So what they're doing is, and again, I'm not justifying it, they're strangling everyday Americans, and providing sometimes not the best service, right? And we're very fortunate in America with a lot of the quality that we get, and bad pun, but we don't get bang for our buck. And this is factual, right? If you look at the numbers and the quality of care around the world. And so, yeah, no, again, not defending it, but this was very methodical, very thought out. And they still haven't caught up as of the time of this recording, right? It's Thursday, December the 5th. So, anyway.
Yeah, and gosh, I mean, I don't want to keep kicking it, but I do want to talk more about it. Like the insurance industry in America is well known to have its issues. You just said the cost of care is well beyond the other country. And it never used to be that way, right? We hear of Canadians coming down to use U.S. healthcare because they got to, wait in line for so long to get the care that they want under the national healthcare system. Well, you know what? Like,
we call our friends snow Mexicans now, is what I was told by the Twitter.
That's funny. That's where that comes from. Mark Cahotes.
Yeah.
What was I saying? It's getting like that way in the U.S. now. So look, my wife had kidney stones, and we have good insurance. Let me start there. Like, we have good insurance. We pay for it for all our employees because we know how high the costs are for the health insurance premiums, but they're going up so fast that, even paying for your insurance might not make sense. I've been talking to my wife, and she's like, we've been having conversations that go down this line. Like, why do we even pay for insurance if we can't get the service and the coverage we need? And if we could just pay out of pocket and cut to the front of the line and actually see a doctor and just pay cash, right? Like, because we're in a position to be able to do that. Because I'll tell you why. she had kidney stones last year or the year before that, and she couldn't get in to see a doctor for like 40 days, right? That's like, and sometimes the doctors say the kidney stone pain is worse than like labor. So she ended up, what did she end up having to do? She had to go to the emergency room, right? Even though we have good health insurance, even though we have a family doctor that she has good rapport with, like, couldn't get in to see him, right? And so that's one of the problems in the system. So she goes to the emergency room, which is a no-no, like, clogs up the system, bloats the insurance costs. But you know what? I can afford that $500 GoPay. Of course, you go to the emergency room to get some goddamn treatment, right? So,
and she wasn't given a choice, is the point, right? She wasn't given a choice. What's the choice? Sit there for 40 days in pain? And again, this is top-notch health insurance that we provide our employees. It's phenomenal insurance. We cover 100% of everything.
Yeah, and I really haven't tangled with the healthcare system, but I have recently because, well, now we're just going to get into it. I've been dealing with some tennis elbow, so I went to the orthopedist, and he referred me to the surgeon. And so I called the surgeon. Hey, how's it going? I'm going to make an appointment. Fuck you are. We can't see you till the end of January. I was like, the end of January? I was just like, it's the first week of December, the end of January. What do you mean? And she says, the doctor only sees patients on Wednesday mornings, and he's booked up until the end of January. But again, no choice, right? So, like, where am I going to go? Because I've got to go someplace that takes my insurance, that's in network or whatever. So anyway, we're at the top tier, right? I mean, we're not the 1%, but we're definitely, well, we probably are the 1%, but we're not the 0.01%.
We're not that yet.
We have these issues, right? So, I mean, I see it out there, and I can only imagine what the rest of the country is dealing with, who can't take the time off work, who can't just make those expenses out of pocket, all that sort of stuff, right? And this is a first world country, so
it's supposed to be. It is
significant,
but it can be a much better one, folks. And again, I love this country. It's provided opportunities for my family and myself that I don't know. I could get in other places, and if I could, I wouldn't know because I was mostly raised here. I mean, I'm thankful for it, but because I'm thankful for it, sure in the hell I'm willing to fight to make it better in whatever little way that I can. And there's a lot, again, this is, there was a moment on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, where Glenn Beck made a point about something. And I was like, fuck, I got to agree with Glenn Beck. That wasn't on my 2024 bingo card. And then there was a moment where Elon Musk and Ron Paul are going back and forth. And Elon is talking about maybe Ron Paul helping advise on the Department of Government Efficiency. And I was like, all right, I didn't have that one on my bingo card. There was another one where one of the hosts from the Young Turks, which is a very leftist, left-leaning show and podcast, and they do great work, by the way. I'm big fans of theirs, even if I disagree with some of the takes. They're thoughtful takes, and they're informed. And even he said, I'm willing to contribute to this government efficiency thing because there's just so much waste, and it's obvious even to us. And so the biggest left-leaning platform in the country is now agreeing with Elon Musk on cutting government waste. And I'm just like, what a week, man. What a week. I mean, I know we glossed over, and we'll get to it in a second, gold, silver, commodities, the dollar index. I will say most of that, I think, knowing Nick, is the same as we told you last week. It's still kind of sideways. It's still kind of wait and see until Mr. Trump gets in there, see what the official policy is going to be, see what's going to be rescinded, see what's going to be supported. But I think, as far as I go anyway, last week's forecast for the next week is this week's forecast for that, unless you have something different there, Nick.
No, I would have said more the same. No, we can talk about it more if you want, but I'm in this fourth turning stuff and this bizarre world banter still. So yeah, it's about ideas and it's about simple solutions, and I'll agree with anybody, right? Like, if I would in fact I would have probably voted for Bernie if they didn't Hillary him in 20, whatever year that was. I forget. Like, that guy's got good ideas, and I even see him agreeing, with some of the Republican stuff, and that's where we're going. You said I've seen you say multiple times recently. I didn't find myself agreeing with this person, but now I do. I've seen the same thing, man.
Sure.
Like one day I agree with Bernie Sanders, and dude, Josh Hawley was out this week. That's what I was looking up, talking about when companies go bankrupt, how like the creditors and other people get paid first, but the workers get screwed. He's talking about like ushering worker protections. Like I'm for that too, man. So like I'll agree with like whatever's the good idea. It's never been about the color of your tie or what side of the aisle you sit on for me. And so I think some of those ideas are gonna have to keep coming to the fore. And again, that's what the fourth turning is about. You got to get these politicians to accept them. And so we're there on the national level. I've been screaming at the local level, and I think there's still some issues out there
Sure.
in
Yeah.
states and cities across America. But these politicians just got to get it. And that's what I said. I'm moving past political correctness. And even you just backtrack there. I love this country, this and that. It's like, you don't have to say that, man. You can just point and laugh and point out the things that are wrong. Like you pay
Oh,
your
I'm
fucking
still pointing and
taxes.
laughing for
You,
sure.
you, you don't have to hedge it.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not a hedge, right? It's not a hedge. Like if I didn't give a fuck, I mean, thankfully
Hmm.
we're doing okay, right? If I didn't care, I'd say, you know what, fuck this country. Let me move to Costa Rica. Let me trade and write my letter from there. And a lot of
Sure.
people have like I really feel passionate about improving it and making it a better place, for my kids and their kids, and leaving behind a better place than we found because fuck, the group behind us sure in the fuck didn't do it. They ran up the credit card literally and stuck us with the debt and then left it for us to figure out, right? I have Nancy Pelosi making hundreds of millions of dollars on a government salary from trading. Right? I'm supposed to believe that all that was on the up and up. Like, the
Right.
fuck out of here. Like, who are you talking to? Right. And so there's so many things that are just obvious, even to somebody that prides themselves on being simple like me, where yeah, we can make the country an absolute better place. And yeah, call me an optimist, an idealist, whatever. I want to be around to see some of those changes, and I want to see how we can affect a little bit of that. One of the things that I'm proudest with one of our companies, Digest Publishing, is we take a percentage of every month's earnings and we allow one of our employees, including ourselves, every month a different employee picks a charity to donate, that percentage to, right? And yeah, it's a huge consequential amount, but $1,000 donations every month, $1,500 donations every month, those add up, and it's something we've done since the beginning. I take a lot of pride in that because yeah, it's not $100,000 donation every month, but it's also not nothing. And those little things I've always taught my boys, right? Little things add up to big things, whether it's habits or dollars or lies or physical conditioning, whatever it is. Little things always add up to big things, and you got to go in order. And that I'm proud that we do that. There's just so many things that we could do to be a better country that are simple and obvious. They just require the willingness, and I'm starting to see some willingness, like you said, on the national level, at least in talk. At least in talk. We're going to find out very soon, after the third week of January, how much of that is actually going to be executed. And we'll see, and then we can judge that and point and laugh or say great, like that's awesome. But get active, folks, and get active in the right way, because it ain't slowing down anytime soon, man. None of this stuff is slowing down anytime soon.
Some stuff's already getting executed, Gerardo.
You caught that one, huh? What do we got next? What else did we miss this week? Because it has been, like I said, it's been a week, man. What else we got on our little...
What?
Go ahead.
I was just going to talk about markets. So,
Oh, that was the last one. Hold on, one more. I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt. Also, Mali issued an arrest warrant for the CEO of Barrick Gold.
Oh, for Bristow now.
Yeah, for Bristow. That's not like... That's not an inconsequential warrant issue. Like, this is the CEO of one of the biggest gold companies in the world. Like, again, it's a wonky time, folks, and it's been an especially wonky week. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but go ahead.
No, that's good. I was going to go to gold anyways. So gold
Very good
stocks,
segue.
gold stocks, especially Barrick. Barrick's in fact been one of the worst performers of the year. In terms of like the GDX companies, the producers, gold companies still not showing their merit, given that gold's up over $2,600 an ounce, and gold's stuck like glue. It's probably the same level it was that we had when we had this conversation last Thursday, right? And I've been telling you
Sure.
that it's not going to go anywhere. It's it doesn't really, it's not going to go anywhere until we get Trump in there and we see what's going to happen with the Doge. And so that's gold. But what is going to happen is, gold staying at $2,600 is trickling down to the bottom line, and that I at least am going to start deploying more into these gold equities, because I think you got some values here at the end of the year. So I should mention tax law season is starting and will ramp up
Sure.
here over the next couple of weeks, and there's definitely some names out there that are worth picking up as we head into the new year. Silver's okay. Silver's up at 30. The equities bounce back. You asked me about my technical levels last year or
Yep.
last week.
Last week.
I told you that we had an ETF set to buy at a certain price. If it pulled back, it pulled back to that price, I think, within pennies. And we bought more, and now it's up 4 or 5% in the past week. So silver equities okay. Copper and oil are the odd men out. So and it's worrisome because it's Dr. Copper and oil, you think, would know something about where the global economy is headed. But even so, that they're not, screaming bullish, consolidating sideways at 430 is okay for copper. And $70 a barrel is okay for oil. So they're not going down, but they're certainly not, you screaming higher. And people are funny, I said that same thing about gold, that it's going to go sideways for the next 6 months. I did an interview with Charlotte at INN, and she asked me about gold at the end, and I said what I just said. I see it relatively flat for 3 months, and we'll see what happens with the dollar once Doge starts to fail, which I think is going to happen for a lot of reasons that maybe we can talk about another reason. And one of the comments under the YouTube video is, "This guy's bearish on gold." It's like, wait, saying that gold is going to hold steady at 2650 is bearish. Like, people are just, it's always got to be all in or all not, or gold or Bitcoin. It's like, why can't it just be flat? And I own gold and I own Bitcoin. It's the same with the politics. And I know I'm dancing all over here now, but
No,
it's the
this
same
is
with
the
the
theme.
tribalism. Like, you're either, I don't know, whatever it is, anti-trans. It's like, no, maybe I'm pro-woman. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, why does it got to be a label? Like, why can't it just be an idea that we talk about? Or why does it have to
You
be
can
all
like
anyway?
Sydney Sweeney and Ana de Armas equally, guys. It's okay.
Anyway, so gold, if not the bullish, the flat is still high at $2,600 an ounce. So what else is on the sheet? I'm not sure.
I don't know. We took like 2
stock
minutes to put stuff on there, folks. What we always do, and then we just
stock
go.
market's still awesome, record highs. And then the deals. So private placements, which is bringing it full circle. Like Kingsman, like you said, is ripping higher, 59 cents today. And these small mining deals that we've been doing have absolutely been working. And so I continue to twist your arm and say, if you're not doing private placements yet, by all means, get in there and try to get in these private deals, because doubling your money in a couple of weeks and being able to unload on warrants, like, I just sent Q2 Metals. What did I send them? I sent them 60 grand, right? Yeah. I sent them 60 grand, 100,000 warrants at 60 cents. I sent them 60 grand and it comes back to me and there's 100 grand in my account. Like, that's good work if you can get it, man.
Yeah. I just sent them whatever the hell I sent them. I had I don't know, 50,000 shares or something like that at 37,000 shares at 32 cents, right? The shares are at $1. And then just like you, I have like another 100,000 at 60 cents. And again, the shares are at $1 and they have assays coming and they're cashed up and they'll be drilling here soon. And, all the things lithium, knock, knock, who's there? Maybe lithium. Lithium is up some 6% here over the past month. A lot of the bigger names, the Albemarles of the world, are starting to catch a bid, and they've bounced off pretty significantly off the lows. Patriot had some great news here this past week. They're advancing rapidly. I keep telling everyone, folks, we've been in the position for 2.5 years. Those went quick, right? All-time high about 1.5 years ago, and now we're at near 52-week lows. Well, the next 2 years are going to go quick as well, and that's when Ken Brinsden, former Pilbara head honcho and now head honcho at Patriot, that's when Ken believes their permit will be issued. 2 years goes quick, folks. The feasibility study will be out in Q3 of 2025. I can't wait for the economics on that thing. I guarantee you it'll be more than what was outlined in the PEA. And I guarantee you that with a feasibility study in hand and all the work that they're doing now, on the samples and then the battery grade stuff coming back, like just clean, it is going to attract a major partner soon in a significant way. And I also wouldn't be surprised to see something a la what I said last week, the Aldebaran deal, where somebody comes in and doesn't, not necessarily a financing per se, but comes in and says, hey, we want 20% of all future supply, and we're willing to give you what equates to your market cap for it because we know you're undervalued and we're not thinking for right now. We're thinking for when you come into production in 4.5 years, and when you get permitted in 2 years, and we know both of those are likely. Who cares what the lithium price is now? Ken Brinsden in that presentation, by the way, it was an excellent presentation, about an hour long. I'm glad they got out talking to retail and family offices again. But when they asked him what he thought the lithium spodumene price should be at, where it would settle, he goes, I don't really worry about that price. Like, it's going to settle around the 25, 30,000 level. That's where it needs to be for things to be in a balanced world. That's what's required.
It's like
And
uranium when it was at 20, right?
it was easy to call it, but nobody believed it. And look, again, it's not to be braggadocious, but the reason I'm up 500% on some of my positions and you're up, more than that on some of your uranium positions is because it was clear as day what was there. And believe you me, the same notes that I get on Patriot now are the same notes we were getting about uranium then. And again, like it's going to be hilarious to me. You know my plan out. I'll be very transparent about my plan. If my two biggest positions work out the way I think they're going to work out here in the next 6 to 12 months, I'll tap a little bit of that, and I will double down on the group's Patriot position if it stays anywhere near current levels. I don't think that'll be the case, but I didn't think it was going to be back at the $2-3 level either. So I've had lithium wrong all year long. I mean, I've been completely dead ass wrong how long the Chinese were able to gonna flood the market at a loss. They've done a brilliant job of it. They run the game well. Oh, by the way, they decided to ban antimony exports this week. That didn't even make the list of crazy shit that happened this week. Company that we promoted, did marketing for, visited twice.
Yep.
Perpetua Resources, new 52-week highs. Why? For the reason I told you it would happen in 2016, because they have a fuck ton of antimony on their property, and they have the Department of Defense and the government's blessing on that front. Their permit would be issued any week now, and the market is finally front running that. And again, year to date, that stock is up 250%. 2 years to today, 446%. We did a promo on the stock when it was $2. What is it at now? $15, $16?
On the Canadian exchange, it's over 16.
There you go. We pitched it. I think it was $2 when we ran the promo earlier in the year, and everybody, again, nobody loved that. I kept saying nobody cares about it at 2. They're gonna love it at 16. Sure enough, the indexes, the funds, the big traders, now they're back in there because they're like, oh my god, it's undervalued. It's got an $807 million market cap. Motherfucker, had a fucking $150, $200 million market cap to start the year. Why didn't you love it then? Either a contrarian or a victim, folks. The contrarians are going to make the money. We're going to get some of those wrong, but the ones that we get right are going to far outweigh and make up for the ones that we get wrong. So I'll say what I said when Perpetua was at 2. It's now at 16, 2 or 3. I'll say it about Patriot. I don't care if it's at $2 or $3. I'm actually hoping it stays at these levels for a little bit longer to allow some of my other stuff to really do what I think it's going to do. And I can tap a little bit of that and go and double down on it. And then we'll talk in a couple of years. Again, the plan was always hold it to the buyout, hold it until it gets into production. It's tier 1 asset. It's North America. Oh, and there's no guarantee that China doesn't do the same thing it did with antimony to lithium. And then you'll see the real value of and premium in North American lithium deposits with scale that are battery grade quality in stable jurisdictions. But again, it sounds crazy right now when it's sitting here at $2.80 a share. And it was 17.
I mean, it doesn't sound too crazy. That's a good place to end, actually, and I'm glad you brought that up because it would have slipped my mind. But this is nothing new. I say a lot. There's nothing new under the sun, right? I mean, you made a lot of money in 2010, 2011 on the rare earth run, which was predicated on the same thing: China controlling supply of rare earth minerals, right? And yeah, maybe we went from neodymium to germanium and gallium, but it's the same premise, right? And this is nothing new. Like, they announced they're actually going to ban it this week, but it was 6 months, 12 months ago. They were saying, we're going to ban gallium and germanium, y'all. Like, they told you, like they said they were going to do it. You know, like, and then when the announcement came Monday, it's like, oh, well, they did it. Like, of course they did, right? And so I think my tweet was like, so you're telling me we're reliant on China for the processing of our critical metals? It sounds like somebody should invest in that, because if you could get ahead of that trend, there's probably a lot of money to be made there. And, you know, we've been ahead of it since 2010, 2011 with rare earths. At 2017, 2018, Lithium X for over a 10 bagger. Patriot Battery Metals, a 100 bagger. URZ Energy, definitely a 1000% win after
Yeah.
multiple acquisitions.
This wasn't a bear
Bravo,
market, by the way.
Bravo Mining, we financed at 60 cents Canadian. It went up to over $5 Canadian after it listed. And so, look, this trend isn't going anywhere because your politicians are old, slow, and fucking dumb. And they're just now starting to understand that they can't build their cool turbines and solar panels and now, and now finally small nuclear reactors without all the things that come out of the ground. And that's always what it was. And that's what it is now. And that's what it's going to be for the next couple of years, if not decades, right? It's like the Holy Trinity, the past, what was, is now, and shall be. Amen.
Maya Angelou has a great saying that says, when people show you who they are, believe them. When China keeps repeatedly telling us we run the fucking board on critical metals and we will weaponize it against you, Mr. America or Mrs. America, we should fucking believe them. And maybe we should do something about it. And again, the one piece of legislation that I really like is the critical metals aspect of the Inflation Reduction Act, which again, hilariously named, but there's some really good stuff in there. There's a lot of great work that's been done. I hope Mr. Trump, and I believe he will, continues to fund a lot of the expediting of critical metals projects and setting up the infrastructure. And yes, we have to fund some of that. We have to provide loans for some of that. I'd rather provide a loan for a real company that's mining a real thing that comes out of the ground, that creates real jobs and real great wages for Americans. I'd rather print money for that than to misplace hundreds of billions of dollars and not be able to tell where it went, right? Let's at least print and counterfeit the money for some stuff that's real, because the Cold War, the silent Cold War with China, is getting less silent by the day, and it's going to continue to get louder and louder. Nobody's even playing it off anymore. We're at that stage. What do you think comes next? You think it's always going to be metals, folks? You know,
I told you. Yeah, I told you last week. They're testing their first aircraft carrier powered by a nuclear reactor. Like, they are testing that. That came out two weeks ago or so. So yeah, no, we're marching in that direction for sure.
Yeah, a lot more to chew on. We could be here for days on this one. I hope next week is a calmer one. Just like I doubt it, because it's dark out, it's cold out, and it's the holidays, and I know for a lot of people that could be tough. I hope everybody has a phenomenal week. I'm supposed to remind you every week to go to dailyprofitcycle.com/subscribe. You might want to go take a peek at some of what Mr. Curl is writing about. This new project that he's been working diligently on is really neat stuff. I really think it's, way ahead of the curve. And look, much like, some of the stuff that Nick and I have been doing on the private placement side on some recent picks, he's doing it in the crypto space. And so you want to give the folks a free uranium pick for the week. I mentioned this company a couple of weeks ago, but it pulled back nicely, and I love where it's at right now.
Sure.
URZ3, folks. That one is, like I told you about Kingsman a couple of months ago, and I told you last week, it's pulled back now to the 15-cent level, 14.5 cents from a high of 24.25 cents. We know the management. We know the team. We've made money with them several times on several other companies. It's a brand new company. It's got a large land package, but more importantly, this team's got the network to bring in robust assets in a hurry. And I know, we Bias shareholder participated in the financing. The financing, I think, was done at 11 cents. I think we got a warrant at 40 cents, if I'm not mistaken. I know the company would love to get it to that level. Maybe it's 20 cents on the warrant. Man, I feel spoiled here, y'all. I should have fucking did that one too. Man, I was happy at 40 cents. I love it at 20. So warrant at 20, and obviously, I think if the company trades at the 40 cent level for more than like 15 or 20 consecutive days, then they can call those warrants. And it's a great non-dilutive way to bring in more capital into the company to allow them to go make acquisitions. The team knows how to market. The team is successful. It's a uranium play. It's going higher. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not this week. In a month or two, I'm pretty confident you're going to look at URZ3 and go, why didn't I just buy a little bit? Same way that I'm sure some people are doing it with Kingsman. By the way, Kingsman's got a lot to go. If Kingsman goes to $2 by the end of next year, I'll be disappointed because I think that has the potential to be one of those, $5, $6, $7 stocks in a hurry, especially in a silver gold bull market like the one we're in. So that's your free pick of the week that won't be free here soon. We're getting closer to that 300 number. This will be behind a paywall very, very soon, folks. So for those of you that aren't going to follow along on that side of things, we'll have a couple of more free picks for you here over the next couple of weeks, and then no more freebies, folks. But again, we're making it super affordable. We think there's value there. We hope that you find value, and we hope you join us.
Absolutely. I would have said the same thing. Time is ticking on the free picks for sure. I'm excited to get it behind a paywall. There will be some benefits that go along with that. Additional access to us. Maybe you'll get to listen to us record live. Maybe you'll get to submit questions, all sorts of stuff to look forward to with this podcast. We have fun doing it, and I think it provides a lot of value. And it's a great way to connect the dots between publications, right? Gerardo writes a couple. We talked about Chris Curl. We have John Carl on the Digital Dispatch, etc. So it's a great way to tie together all the things we're seeing and what we're writing about in the weekly and monthly issues. So by all means, it'll be worth it to subscribe to this premium version of Investing in Bizarro World that we're putting together.
I am Gerardo Del Real along with Mr. Nick Hodge. This was the 296th episode of our weekly therapy session that we call Investing in Bizarro World. Don't forget to and spit on that thing, y'all, and make sure you do it with a smile. Have a great week, everybody.
See ya.
Hey there, you independent-minded investor. If you like this video, make sure to tell us so by clicking the like button below. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss another one. And share it with everyone you know on social media. You can also click the link in the description below to check out more information-packed videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.